The most essential feature of the end plate assembly is that it must line up. If it doesn't line up, then the spindle will be unable to run freely. Normally, this kind of correct alignment is done by careful marking out and the use of precision drilling equipment. We, however, will be cheating. Using the magic of the internet, you will be able to download this template for the A plate and this template for the B plate from www.tesla-turbines.com. You might notice the lines are quite thin, but basically this gives you, it'll be more precise when you cut it out. So now you want to go down to your plastic supplier and you want to ask him for 2 pieces of 5mm acrylic sheet cut 145mm, which is this edge, by 172.5mm this way. Now this height actually doesn't matter. The only critical dimension is the bottom edge. And this is why. Obviously if it's too high, it doesn't really matter, but this width has to be spot on. Right, next, what you're going to want to do is glue this template to this piece of plastic with whatever you've got to hand, spray mount, crazy glue, Pritt stick, whatever. Now, you're going to want to centre punch these 4 holes. The centre points are clearly marked. This is an engineer's centre punch, but you can just use a nail or whatever comes to hand. It's only acrylic. You don't have to be ludicrously accurate, because we are going to cheat. What we're going to do is we're going to drill straight through both pieces of acrylic, but we're going to hold them together with a clamp. You'd use a G-clamp or something like this. The only thing you have to watch out for is that this bottom edge has to be absolutely flush. Both parts have to be absolutely parallel, because if they're not, when you put it down, it's not going to line up. So basically the only edge you have to really worry about is that one. I mean, it can be, not as far, obviously it can be out here a wee bit, because once you bolt it together, the only edge that matters is this one. It's a good idea, put a bit of tape on the back of it when you clamp it, because otherwise it will mark the back surface. To do the drilling, this is the kind of setup you should use. You should use one clamp just to hold the 2 pieces of acrylic together. You should use another clamp to hold these 2 to the table itself. I mentioned before that alignment is critical to getting your turbine to run smoothly. In order to maintain this alignment without tedious measurement, we are going to drill each hole through both plates in one pass. Once we have drilled a hole, we will put a bolt through it and fasten a nut to the other side. Suitable for this task. I'm using the Fobco 7.8 because it's the drill I use every day. Hobby size drill presses like the one I showed earlier are quite adequate for drilling acrylic or plywood. I have chosen to use a 6mm drill. This is because I am going to use 6mm bolts to fasten my stanchions together. You may use any drill size you wish to match whatever bolts you have available. My only recommendation is to use bolts no smaller than 3mm and no bigger than 12mm, which in imperial measures is no smaller than an 1/8 and no bigger than a 1/2. When drilling, you should use hand and eye protection. Acrylic is a brittle material and can shatter when being drilled. Before you start, you should make a final check that the bottom edge of the plates is flush, and if you have a drill table which can tilt, that it is level. Once you've drilled the hole, bolt the plate together and proceed to the next hole. Now that we've bolted and tightened 2 holes, we can remove the clamp to make drilling the last 2 holes easier.